Hello everyone, welcome to Zoom Programmer. Today we are going to talk about methods in C Sharp. So the method is a block of code which runs when it is called, right? A method is simply a block of code which can execute when it is called only. So if you have a method and you not in the method is not called, it will not execute. So let's go ahead and see how we can define a method or that block of code which can only run when it is executed, right? So to define a method, let's go ahead and double click our button, right? A method is not going to be defined inside an event, but a method is going to be it is going to be declared, or it is going to be written outside this button click event, or even any event in the form of in C Sharp. So we have to declare that method. So to declare a method, we have different types of modifiers, like we have private, and we have protected, and we have public. So if you want to access your method outside the class, which is this class, the form1 class, maybe you have another form and you want to access it, you must declare it as a public. But if you want it only to be accessed in this, or to be called in this class, you have to declare it as a public. That's it. So let's go ahead. Today we are going to declare our method as private. So let's declare a method so that you can see how methods are declared. So we have different types of methods. Let's declare a first type of method, private, which is a void, and say message, like this. So this is the first type of a method. A void method doesn't return anything, so it is going to be written as this, and the void, this void is going to be used to declare a void method, or a method which doesn't return anything. So what do we want to do with this method? We just want to show a message in this label, called label message. So let's go ahead and show that message here. We're going to just say label message dot text is assigned to hey, this is a void method, like this. This is a void method, like this. So if you go ahead and run it, so we have said a method can execute it when it is called. So this is what we call a method definition, but we have to go ahead and call it from this button click event. So in this button click event, we are going to just type the name of the method. This is what we call method calling in C Sharp, right? So if you paste this and you put this brackets and put a semicolon, you have called this method. And the advantages of method is you can call it as many times as you want in your program. So let's go ahead and run and see this message in our label, right? This is the first type of a method. Let's execute it. Right, you can see the method is executed successfully. So let's go ahead, since we have put this method calling in this void in the button click event. Let's go ahead and click this button so that you can see. So you can see the this is a void method, right? So this message is not from the button click, but is from the method which was called in the button click. So it was executed when we called this method in an event, which can be used to trigger or to execute the method. So this is the first type of a method we have in C Sharp, a method which doesn't return anything, right? So we have another type of a method. Let's go ahead and add the design onto our form. So I will add the design and I'll come back to you. So I'll post the fit and come back to you when I add another design, so that you can see a different type of a method. Right, you can see I have added some design in this form. So I have added a text box and pointing text is input one. Alright, so and I've added this button called string a method. So what are we going to do right here is we are going to demonstrate the second type of a method in C sharp. So let's go ahead and click here. Right, let's first double click this since we want to call it in this button. So we have created a button to click event. So let's go ahead and declare a method for this, which is a string. This is a function also because it will return a string data type. So to declare a method which returns a string data type, we have to use again private, but this time around we are not going to use the void, since the void is going to return nothing. But we are going to, what we want to do is to return a string. So we are going to use the string data type here, like a string, and say name like this. So what do you want? We want to return a name in this method. So we can declare again the name as our argument here, right, like this. And we are going to, what do you want to return? Since we have said this must return something, so it is expecting a return a keyword. That's why you see this is underlined in red. So if you put a return, and what do we want to return? We want to return a name, this name declared here from this method. So you can see here we have we are done and the error is gone. So let's go ahead and call this a method in a button click, in this button click called string method. So what do you want to pass is a name, right? So we can say, or we can declare a name, or if you want you can declare a name like string name, right? And we assign this string name to text box one dot text like this, right? So this is what we have declared. So we have assigned the value of a text box to this name, right? So to call this, you have to pass on the name variable to the calling of the method. So what do you have to do is to call this method name, but this time around our method has an argument. So if you leave it like this without an argument, it will return an error, since it is saying no, this method has a data type which needs to be retained, and here you are not giving me the data type. So I don't know, or I don't know this method because it is not defined. The method which doesn't return anything with the name, this is not defined, so it will give an error, right? As you can see, if you point here, no overload of method name takes 0 argument. So it is telling you that you haven't supplied the arguments. So let's go ahead and supply this argument as name we have declared here. So let's copy and paste it here, right? This is what we have done. So let's move on and display this in a label message. Let's go ahead and say label message dot text is assigned to, let's call this directly from here, right? So let's cut it and paste it here. Why? Because we want to show this message into a label message, right? So we are going to use this as an argument or as the value. Why? Because we know that it is going to return a value. So that value of name, which is taken from this text box, is going to pass on to this label, right? So if you go ahead and run this project, you are going to see that we will have some data, or we have the result as expected. I will pause and come back. Oops, sorry guys, if you execute, you are going to see this error. They will build errors. You would like to continue and run to the last successful build, just say no. Why? Because we have an error. So this error is simply saying we have this name, and we have also the name as an argument of this form, right? You can see we have this name of the form, so it is returning an error saying we are just it is saying we are calling this name. So we have to change our method name here and say the name. like this, right? After that, it needs to rename the method. So you just click here and say rename method, and here you are going to see the error is gone, right? So let's go ahead and try to execute it again so that you can see how this is going on, right? It's taking a little bit while. Right, you can see it is executed right now. So what do we have to do before clicking this button, string method? We know that our argument is coming from this text box, so we have to enter some text before clicking this. If you go ahead and click this without any text inside this text box, you are going to see an error which will crash your program. So let's go ahead and put some data here. Let's say Collins, right? This is my name, right? Let's go ahead and click this string method. You can see Collins here. Why? Because we have called Collins and passed this string as an argument, this name. So this is how to call a string method in C sharp, right? Let's go ahead and try to make it look a little bit better than this. So let's go ahead and put some text before and say my name is like this, and you have to concatenate the data like this, right? So if you go ahead again and run this, you're going to see my name is and the name, right? So this is how to call a string method, or a method which returns a string. It's taking time to load, so let me pause and come back. Right, it is executed, so you can see. Let's pass the name again, and I can pass with the surname, right? That's it. So let's go ahead and click here. You can see my name is Colin Cyril. That's it. So this is how you can pass the arguments in methods. So let's go ahead and have another design again. Let's add a design so that you can see also how to call other methods. So I'll pause the video and come back to you when I am done with the design part. Right, you can see I have added this text box, and the prompting text is input 2, and I've added this button as int a method. What do we want to do right here? We are going to return data type or a result of an integer data type, so we are using this button to click it. So let's go ahead and double click this button, and below this button click event, let's define a method. Excuse me, let me remove this from my screen. Right, we have to define a method or which returns integer data type. So let's go ahead and say private int, and let's give calculation as our method name, and inside here we are going to declare one method like num1 like this, right? And here we are going to open it, and this method we are going to return int, right, like this. Excuse me, we're going to return num1, not int, num1 like this. That's it. So we've defined a method which can return an integer data type. So let's go ahead to call this. You have to go ahead and just call this, but we want to show the data in a label message. So we're going to declare an integer here and say number, right, and say assign it text box 1 dot text, right? So we have assigned the value to our integer variable. So sorry, we have to convert this to an integer, so we'll say int dot pass, so that you can convert the text box dot text to an integer data type in the int dot pass, right? So from there we are going to call our method in a label message, right? Label message.txt is assigned to, then call this calculation and pass this number as our argument, right? You can see we pass this and put a semicolon here, right? That's it, right? Then we can convert this to string, right? Our to string like this. Since this label we have cited in the previous video, the text of the label is a string data type, which means a label can display only strings. But remember, this calculation is returning an integer, so we are going to convert it to a string using this function. This is an inbuilt function in C#, which will convert this whole thing into an integer. So let's go ahead and run this. Since our value is coming from text box 1, we are going to deal with text box 1 before moving on to use two text boxes. That's it. So we are going to see this after execution, right? Let's pass a value of an integer, let's say 4, and click here to method, so you can see 4 in this. So I'm going to style it a little bit much better, so that you can see how it can be. So let's say the, excuse me, right? Let's go ahead and say the value or the result, that's it, the result is, and put this and concatenate this, like putting this, and then we put a bracket here so that we can explicitly state that we want to convert only this to an integer. So if you go ahead and run, you can see the different results saying this is the result is, and we have our variable or our argument passed as a result. So let's go ahead and have a look after this execution, right? You can go ahead and put some value like 24 inside here and use this int method. You can see the result is 24 in this label. So let's go ahead and try to make it a little bit we want to use this method to calculate something, maybe the sum of two numbers. So what we're going to do is, in this method, we are going to declare another integer data type, which is int num2, right? And this int num2, what do we want to return is num1 plus num2. You can see we have performed some calculations here. We are returning num1 and num2, and in our button click, we are going to copy this again and paste it here, and we are going to say number 2, like here, and from this we are going to access our number 2 from text box 2.text, right? So that's it. So here we are going to pass another parameter again, saying the number 2, like this, to string. So you can see we have put two parameters or two arguments on the same method, and this will return the sum of these two. So that's it. Let's go ahead and run it so that you can have a look and you can understand how it is going, and you will have some time to check it. It has executed. Let's go ahead and put our two arguments, let's say 23, 24 and 24. So we know that 24 plus 24 to return 48. So let's get this and see the result. You can see the result is 48. And the advantages of these arguments, you can call it as many times as you want, no matter how many methods or how many events you have. You want to use the same method, you will call it from any event you want. So basically, this is what we call methods and functions in C sharp. So this can also be regarded as a function. Why? Because it is returning a value, and the function is a method which is used to return some value to our code. That's it. So this is all you have to know about methods in C sharp. So you can have a look again. If you want some more tutorials and personal helps for personal projects, just subscribe to my channel and put a comment. Let me know in the comment box below so that I can help you. And from this, we have done what we call methods in C sharp. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Sim Programmer channel so that you can miss all of the videos, the recent videos. So just subscribe to my channel and hit at the bell there so that you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you. Have a nice time.